Welcome to the Marriage Steps podcast. We're reducing the divorce rate. One marriage at a time is the goal, and following my 6 marriage steps is a path to help get us there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, licensed psychologist and marriage counselor. If you enjoyed the episode today, please scroll down on your device and leave a review by clicking the stars. The more positive reviews I receive, the higher the podcast will appear in search results so others can find it and receive tools for their marriage. Also, if you believe in this podcast and would like to help me reduce the divorce rate by keeping it on the air, please consider becoming a monthly supporter by going to patreon.com/marriage steps. That's patreon.com/marriage steps. Today I'm going to talk about 3 options to respond to your partner's bids. This is a concept from John Gottman, and John Gottman is considered the godfather of marriage research. He's done more than anybody else, and so he tends to be quoted more than any other marriage researcher. And so when he speaks up and when he publishes an article, a lot of people pay attention. And this is one concept that's come out of his research, and it's called bids. And bids are within all of us. We all make a bid. So what is a bid? A bid is some type of gesture or some type of comment we make or a behavior we do because we're trying to throw out a bid to our partner that we need something. That's what a bid is. It's our best attempt to communicate, whether it's directly or indirectly, that we need something from our partner to fill us up, to make us feel good, to make us feel satisfied and loved. So we throw out these bids. It's almost like fishing. If you imagine, you're fishing, you get a worm, you put it on the hook, you throw it into the water, and you're fishing for something, and you're hoping a fish is going to come grab it, because then you caught something. That's similar to a bid. We throw out something to our partner, hoping they're going to get the hint and then bite so that we get what we want. Okay, that's what a bid is. Now, the bids come from our core needs. And we all have different core needs. We're not the same. So you may have different core needs than your partner. Maybe some of your core needs are similar. But here's a couple of the most common core needs. One is affection. Some people really need touch. They need a lot of it. They need a lot of affectionate touch, which is non-sexual touch. And so this person may make a bid by saying, hey, honey, we haven't snuggled and watched a movie in a long time together. And the key word there is snuggling. So they may be missing kind of that affection. Or, hey, honey, we haven't really hugged each other much lately. Or you haven't stroked my hair in a long time. Or I miss holding your hand. Any comment like that would be a bid because that person needs affection. Okay? Another common core need is sexual activity. So someone may make a bid for sexual activity by making some type of comment on how sexy their partner looks, or commenting on what they were fantasizing about during that day, or what they were hoping, you could do together that night. That might be a sexual bid. They're throwing out their line with the little worm on the hook, hoping you'll get the hint and that you will bite. Another bid is quality time. So a partner who has this core need may say, hey, we haven't spent much time together lately. Or, man, I would really love to go out with you this weekend. Some type of comment or gesture like that is usually a bid for quality time. They need that quality time to fill up their tank, to make them feel loved and satisfied. Another common core need is recreation together. So a partner with this type of need may say, hey, we haven't played tennis together in a long time, or we should go golfing together soon, or we should go for a bike ride tonight to the ice cream store. That kind of person probably likes to do things in motion together. So they make bids on things around activities because that's what fills them up. Another example is emotional intimacy. So that's the partner and the person who needs to feel like your best friend, and they know your inner world, and they get to share their inner world, and they want to feel known by you, and they want to see you and you see them. So they may make a bid such as, hey, we haven't talked in a while, or I have so many thoughts I haven't shared, or I want to hear everything that's going on in your life. We haven't reconnected. It's been too long. Those types of comments is a clue that they're needing emotional connection. They're throwing out a bid. So one bid my wife made just recently is we've been having kind of a busy few weeks with getting school started, with having 4 kids, and she made a bid for emotional intimacy, and it also can blend with the quality time. And she said, hey, do you want to go walk the dog together tonight? We can get caught up on our thoughts. And I knew, because we hadn't been spending as much quality time together or talking as much as usual because things have been so busy, I knew she was making a bid. That was a bid because she wanted to feel emotionally connected and for us to share what's been going on in our lives so she could feel close again emotionally. So that's an example of a bid. So the next thing to consider is, do you recognize your partner's bids? What kind of bids does your partner make? What kind of things do they say? What kind of gestures do they do with their behavior? Some people are very direct with their bids and it's clear. Other people are indirect and it's very subtle. Like maybe someone who wants more affection would come up to you and just kind of rub their fingers on your neck. And that's their way of trying to get your attention, saying, hey, touch me. So that's something to consider, is start looking, if you don't already, for how your partner is making bids to you. Be on the look for bids. And then second, consider, what kind of bids do you provide? What are your core needs, and how do you throw out that fishing line hoping that your partner will bite? What kind of bids do you give to your partner? Are they really clear bids? Are they indirect bids? What kind of bids do you make? It's just an interesting thing to think about and to become more mindful of. So the main thing to remember in this episode is you have 3 options on how to respond to your partner's bids. So the first option is you can turn away. So let's go back to the example with my wife asking me if I wanted to walk the dog with her. So if I'm recognizing, okay, that's a bid, the first thing I can do is I can turn away. And turn away means I ignore the bid. So I would say something like, oh, I can't, I'm too busy. I have to keep working. Or, oh, not tonight, I've already had a walk today. Or, that's okay, it's a little too hot outside for me. All of those are turning away, where I ignore the bid. Maybe I didn't even recognize it was a bid. That happens a lot in marriages. So whether you recognize it or not, you turn away from a bid when you just dismiss it. You ignore the request. Another option for the bid when your partner throws out a bid to you is you can turn against. This is the worst reaction you can have. Turn against. This is where you get irritated with the bid, or you get agitated that they made the bid. So for example, my wife saying, hey, we should go walk the dog together later. If I were to turn against, I would say, don't you know how busy I am? I don't have time to walk the stupid dog. That would be me turning against. She's thrown out a bid, hoping I recognize her need to connect. And if I turn on her and say something aggressive or hostile, I just turned against her bid. That hurts the most because it requires a certain amount of vulnerability to throw out a bid, because we don't want to get rejected. We don't want to get shot down. And if you get shot down enough, usually we give up. We stop throwing out the bids. And you may be in that spot. You may have thrown out so many bids that your partner ignored or turned against or turned away from that you've given up providing the bids. And that's a horrible feeling to have. So turning against is when you get hostile in reaction to your partner's bid for connection. The third option when your partner throws out a bid is you turn towards. This is where you recognize, whoa, that was a bid. You recognize that in your mind, and then you intentionally move forward to meet the bid. You turn towards. So with the example of my wife, with her saying, hey, we should go we should walk the dog together later tonight so we can, spend that time together. The ideal reaction from me is I recognize in my mind, okay, she just made a bid. She needs time together so we can talk. And then turning towards her would sound something like this. That would be great. Let's definitely do that. And thankfully, that's exactly what I said to her. That's not always been my response. There's been lots of times where she's made bids and I've missed it and I've turned away or I've turned against and I have not turned towards. It's a learning process, but it's a powerful way to make your relationship closer. This also relates to attachment theory. Attachment theory says that when you have a baby, when you have a child, one of the top ways of developing a secure attachment with that child is you read the cues and the signals, and then you respond sensitively and consistently. And when you do that, over time, you build a secure attachment because that baby or that child learns that they can trust other people. They can trust you. And this is the climate and the culture we want to cultivate in our marriage, a secure attachment, so that when your partner throws out bids, you want them to know you're going to recognize the bids and turn towards. So spend some time this week talking this through with your partner. Talk about what bids do you provide, what bids do they provide, what core needs do they come from, and then what would it look like to turn away, turn against, or turn towards. One quick announcement before I wrap up today. I'm going to try something new. This coming Thursday, September 5th, from 4 to 4:45 Mountain Standard Time, I'm going to do a live session where people can call me from wherever you're listening during that time, and I'm going to answer any questions you have about marriage. And so the phone number to call in is 720-999-9538. So I hope you take advantage of it. It's this coming Thursday again, September 5th from 4 to 4:45 Mountain Standard Time, 720-999-9538. I hope you call me, and I look forward to taking your calls. Thank you for listening to the Marriage Steps podcast. For more marriage resources, go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, and check out my Facebook page at facebook.com/Dr. Wyatt Fisher. And remember, your marriage is a living organism. If you care for it, it will thrive. And if you don't, it will die. The choice is up to you. Take care.